Okay, so run commuting, huh? I'm really intrigued by the sources you found for this deep dive.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting concept, right?
Definitely. So we've got like a practical guide on fitting exercise into a busy schedule,
Uh-huh.
and then this firsthand account of someone trying run commuting for like a whole week.
A whole week, yeah.
Yeah.
And get this, they did it in New York City.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
I mean, NYC isn't exactly known for offices having showers.
No, not at all. I think that's what makes this experiment so fascinating, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Most people, when they think about run commuting, that's like the first thing they think about.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to show up to work all sweaty.
Totally. And who wants to deal with that?
Exactly.
So hopefully this deep dive will uncover some, like, solutions or strategies.
Absolutely.
But first, like, why even run commute in the first place?
Well, I mean, the fitness article we've got, it talks about all the benefits of exercise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Increased energy, stress reduction, better sleep, all that good stuff. Yeah, yeah.
And those are all things that are especially important if you have a busy schedule.
For sure. I mean, I feel like everyone's always complaining about being busy these days.
It's like the norm now.
Totally. So the Run Commuter, did they actually feel those benefits?
Well, what's interesting is this person was already a runner. Like, they already ran regularly.
Okay.
So for them, it was almost like these benefits were just like bonus points
Gotcha.
on top of stuff they were already doing.
Right.
But, it makes you think, like, what kind of impact would this have on someone who's not already, exercising regularly?
Right, like someone just starting out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like killing two birds with one stone, though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you get your workout in while you're also getting to work.
Being super efficient.
Super efficient. And speaking of efficiency, the fitness article has some, like, practical strategies for squeezing exercise in, even with a packed schedule. So, like, first they say you need to, like, honestly look at your schedule.
Yeah, see where you can make space.
Right, find those hidden pockets of time.
Exactly.
And they also emphasize, like, setting realistic goals.
Oh, definitely.
Which, that makes sense to me. It's
Yeah.
like, you don't have to suddenly become a marathon runner.
No, not at all. Like, the Run Commuter we're looking at, they basically just started with, like, their existing running routine.
Okay.
And then they gradually added in, like, the miles for their commute.
That's smart. It's like easing into it rather than going from 0 to 60.
Much more sustainable that way.
Totally. So it's about, like, weaving commuting into your life,
Yeah.
not turning it into, like, this huge, overwhelming thing.
Exactly.
So, okay, but what about when you're really short on time?
Right.
Does the article have any tips for that?
Oh, yeah. They mentioned, like, things like HIIT workout.
Oh, HIIT. Yeah.
High-intensity interval training.
Like those short bursts of, like, really intense exercise.
Exactly. And they even talk about, like, multitasking while you exercise.
Oh, like what?
So, like, doing squats while you brush your teeth. Or calf raises while you wait for your coffee to brew.
Okay, interesting.
Just little things.
Yeah.
But they can add up.
So did the Run Commuter use any of these strategies?
So they didn't specifically mention HIIT workouts.
Okay.
But their whole approach was all about maximizing their time.
Makes sense.
Both during their runs and also at work.
Like,
Well, for example, they were very intentional about planning their running routes. So they would avoid areas that, like, get really crowded with tourists.
oh, smart, especially like during rush hour or something.
Exactly.
So, okay, this is what I really want to know. Like, how did they deal with not having showers at work?
Right. That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Actually, before I tell you what they did, I'm curious. What would you do?
Oh, man, I'd probably be, like, desperately searching for the nearest gym with showers.
Yeah, that's a pretty common response.
Right.
But this Run Commuter, they did something different.
Oh, really? What?
Okay, so their strategy involved body wipes, face wipes, tons of deodorant, and something they called strategic sink hair rinsing.
Strategic sink hair rinsing.
Yep.
Okay, that's resourceful, but, like, did it actually work?
Well, according to them, yes. They
Really?
even asked their coworkers, like, hey, have you noticed anything, any unusual smells?
Oh, my God.
And apparently they passed the sniff test.
Wow, I'm impressed. So it's possible, even without those fancy office showers.
It is. You just need the right approach and the right products.
Right, the right products. So let's talk about that. What kind of gear did they use?
Okay, so two things they specifically mentioned were the Tracksmith Olmsted pack
Okay.
and the John G. Sling Bag.
Mm.
These are like running packs designed specifically for carrying stuff.
Okay, so like work clothes and stuff.
Exactly, yeah. Work clothes, laptop, phone, all the essentials.
And deodorant.
And deodorant, definitely.
Yeah.
But, what makes them different from just like a regular backpack?
Yeah, I was wondering that.
Well, they're designed to like fit really snug against your body.
Oh, okay.
So they minimize bouncing and chafing while you're running.
That makes sense. So they're not like flopping around all over the place.
Nope. And the Olmsted pack in particular, it's known for being super minimalist.
Okay.
And made with like a lightweight, weather-resistant material.
Which is perfect for a city like New York.
Absolutely. The weather here can be so unpredictable.
Oh, for sure. And I noticed the Run Commuter also emphasized like the importance of running clothes with lots of pockets.
Oh, yeah. They mentioned brands like Janji and Bandit Cadence.
Mm-hmm.
And Tracksmith's Alston line, too.
Yeah, those were the ones. It seemed like they were all about efficiency.
Definitely. It's about having those extra pockets for like keys or energy gels.
Right. Right.
Maybe even a small water bottle.
Yeah.
So you don't need a big bulky bag.
Mm-hmm.
And they mentioned using handheld water bottles too and electrolyte mixes.
Staying hydrated.
Exactly. It's all about those little details.
It seems like they really thought of everything.
Yeah, they did. And this really highlights a point that the fitness article made about like minimizing barriers to entry.
Barriers to entry.
Yeah, so basically the easier you make exercise, the more likely you are to actually do it.
Right. That makes sense. It's not just about willpower. It's about setting yourself up for success.
Exactly.
But, okay, even with the best gear and planning, there's still the mental aspect.
Oh, for sure.
Like, staying motivated. The fitness article talked about how that can be a real barrier for people.
Definitely. Things like a lack of motivation or fear of failure.
Right. Did the Run Commuter experience any of that?
They didn't specifically say they struggled with motivation.
Okay.
But I think the fact that they were so proactive about planning their routes,
Yeah.
it suggests that they were really trying to make the experience like as enjoyable and stress-free as possible.
That makes sense. So like anticipating any obstacles and figuring out ways around them.
Exactly.
That's smart. I mean, that's how you make something sustainable, right?
You got it. And this brings us back to another key point from the fitness article.
Okay, what's that?
It's all about finding ways to stay motivated and committed to your goals.
For sure. I mean, that's something we all struggle with, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they suggest things like setting clear and achievable goals, which the Run Commuter definitely seemed to do. And then they also talked about having like an accountability partner.
Like someone to do it with you.
Well, not necessarily do it with you, but like someone to, share your journey with.
Right, like for support.
Exactly. Someone to keep you accountable. And we can't forget about rewards.
Oh, yes. Like treating yourself after a run.
Exactly. Whether it's a special smoothie or, taking a relaxing bath.
A little something to look forward to.
Exactly. Those little rewards can really reinforce positive habits.
Yeah.
So did the Run Commuter mention anything about rewards?
They didn't really talk about specific rewards, but they did mention how much they enjoyed exploring new routes.
Oh, interesting.
And like discovering, hidden gems in the city.
So it sounds like for them, the experience itself was kind of a reward.
Right.
It wasn't just about getting to work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was an opportunity to discover new things.
So this brings us to the unique challenges of running in a city as busy as New York.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
How did they handle all the hustle and bustle?
Well, they painted quite a vivid picture in their account.
Really? Like what?
Dodging selfie sticks on crowded bridges, weaving through hordes of tourists.
Oh my gosh, I can imagine.
And even finding these little pockets of peace and quiet in the middle of all the chaos.
Wow. It sounds like they really embraced the adventure, though.
Oh, absolutely. The good and the bad.
That's the spirit. But okay, what about safety?
Right.
Especially in a city like New York. Did they mention anything about that?
They said they tried to stay aware of their surroundings.
Okay.
And stick to well-lit and populated areas, especially if they were running early in the morning or late at night.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they didn't really go into specifics about any safety measures.
Right. I guess that's kind of a personal thing.
Yeah, it is, yeah. But for our listener, I think it's really important to emphasize that safety should always be a top priority.
Oh, absolutely.
It's about being proactive and taking steps to minimize any potential risks.
Absolutely. So what are some practical things people can do?
Well, for starters, always share your route with someone.
Oh, good point.
And let them know, when you expect to arrive.
Right.
And it's always a good idea to carry some form of ID.
Yeah, just in case.
Exactly. And maybe even consider investing in a personal safety device.
Like one of those alarms.
Yeah, something like that. But of course, the most important thing is just to be aware of your surroundings and trust your instincts.
Absolutely. If something feels off, it probably is.
Exactly.
And I'm thinking like, what about reflective gear?
Oh, yeah, that's crucial.
Especially for those early morning or evening runs.
Definitely. And a headlamp, too.
Oh, right, yeah.
Anything to make you more visible to drivers and other people.
Totally, that just makes sense. But, it's not just about the physical safety, right? It's also about, like, feeling safe.
Absolutely. The psychological aspect is huge.
Like, if you're feeling anxious or scared, that's going to impact your whole experience.
It will. So, it's about finding ways to feel confident and comfortable in your surroundings.
That's such a good point. Okay, so we've talked about like the physical aspects of run commuting, the logistics, the environmental benefits. We even touched on like the psychological side of things.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have. So I want to like zoom out for a minute.
Okay.
And think about like the bigger picture.
Yeah.
What if run commuting became like a mainstream thing?
That's interesting.
Not just a niche activity, but like a real mode of transportation.
Like, imagine if everyone was running to work.
What would that look like?
Well, I think we'd need some major changes in how we design our cities.
Like what?
Well, for starters, we'd need way more dedicated running paths.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And bike lanes, too, that prioritize, like, pedestrian and cyclist safety.
Right. And maybe even those showers at work that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, for sure. It would require a real commitment to creating a more, what you might call, run commute friendly environment.
That's a good phrase. But imagine the impact, right?
Oh, it would be huge.
Like healthier cities, happier people.
More sustainable, too.
Definitely. Less traffic, cleaner air.
And maybe even a greater sense of community.
Oh, yeah. Because people would be connecting through this shared experience.
Exactly.
It's a really inspiring vision,
It is.
A city designed for people, not just cars.
A city where commuting is actually enjoyable.
Yes. Invigorating, even.
That's the idea.
Okay, but this would require, like, a real shift in mindset, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Right now, most people just see running as exercise.
Right.
We'd have to start seeing it as a legitimate way to get around.
I wonder what it would take to make that happen.
Well, I think it would take a collective effort.
Yeah.
From individuals, employers, city planners, everyone.
Everyone working together.
But the potential benefits, they're hard to ignore.
This makes me think that run commuting, it's not just a trend.
No, it's bigger than that.
It's a reflection of a larger societal shift.
Towards a more mindful way of living.
Yeah, like people are looking for alternatives.
To the traditional car-centric lifestyle.
Absolutely. They want to reconnect with their bodies, their communities, their environment.
It's all connected.
It really is. It's like a movement towards a more, a more human-centered approach to urban living.
I like that.
Where well-being, connection, and sustainability are at the forefront.
That's the goal. And run commuting, in its own way, embodies all of that.
It's like a microcosm of this larger movement.
Exactly. Showing that individual choices can actually make a difference.
Powerful stuff. But, okay, let's be real. For a lot of people, the idea of run commuting, it's probably pretty daunting.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's not for everyone.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing we can take away from this deep dive, it's this spirit of, like, adaptability.
Adaptability.
Yeah, and resourcefulness.
Okay.
Like, the run commuter we're talking about, they clearly weren't afraid to think outside the box.
Right. They were finding creative solutions.
Exactly. Challenging norms. Putting their well-being first.
And that's something everyone can do, right?
Absolutely. It's not about copying this one person's experience exactly.
Right.
It's about taking those principles and applying them to your own life.
Your own situation.
Exactly. Finding what works for you.
So, like, maybe this will inspire some people to try run commuting themselves.
Maybe.
But even if not, hopefully it'll spark some ideas.
Yeah, about how to incorporate more movement and mindfulness into their day.
Absolutely. It's about finding what brings you joy and makes you feel good.
That's what it's all about. But, we've talked a lot about the challenges and the benefits of run commuting, but we haven't really talked about the gear yet.
Oh, right.
And having the right gear, it can make a huge difference.
Especially in a demanding city like New York.
You got it.
Yeah.
So let's dive into the gear essentials that can take your run commute from, like, a sweaty nightmare to a comfortable, enjoyable experience.
Yes. Let's do it.
And who knows, maybe we'll even uncover some hidden gems along the way.
Ooh, I love hidden gems.
All right, let's get into it.
Let's go.
It's funny, when you think about it, run commuting can totally change how we see, like, the daily commute.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Most people, they dread the commute.
Well, it's like the worst part of the day.
Totally.
Yeah.
But run commuting, it kind of reframes it.
Like turns it into a positive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not wasted time anymore,
Right.
It's like an opportunity for personal growth.
Yeah. And you're taking care of your health at the same time.
And speaking of taking care, I'm curious, what about the environment?
Oh, good point. It's got to be way better than driving, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Running is like zero emission transportation.
So good for the planet.
Huge plus for the planet.
Yeah.
And, it helps with traffic congestion, too.
Makes sense. Less cars on the road.
Exactly. Which means, better air quality.
Right. So like our cities become more sustainable.
Exactly. And, it's not just the environmental impact, all those health benefits we talked about. Like a healthier population, that means less strain on healthcare systems.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that.
It's all interconnected.
It is. Wow. Okay. So run commuting, good for the individual, good for society, good for the planet.
Pretty much.
But you know what we haven't talked about yet?
What's that?
Safety?
Oh, right. Big one. Especially in a city like New York.
Yeah, exactly. Did the Run Commuter address any concerns about that?
Yeah, they mentioned, being mindful of their surroundings.
Okay, that's good.
Choosing well-lit, populated routes, especially, if they were running early or late.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they didn't really get into any specifics about safety precautions.
Right. I guess that's kind of a personal thing.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's super important to emphasize, for anyone listening, safety should always be top priority.
Oh, absolutely.
It's about, being proactive.
Yeah.
Taking steps to minimize risk.
Absolutely. So, what are some practical tips?
Okay, well, one thing you should always do, tell someone your route.
Oh, good point.
And let them know when you're supposed to get back.
Right. So they know if something's wrong.
Exactly. And carrying some kind of ID is always a good idea.
Just in case.
Yep. And then, maybe even think about getting one of those personal safety devices.
Like a little alarm or something.
Yeah, exactly. But honestly, the most important thing is just being aware.
Of your surroundings.
Yep. And trusting your gut.
Right. If something feels off, it probably is.
Exactly. Don't ignore those feelings.
So, okay, what about things like reflective gear?
Oh, yeah, that's super important.
Especially for runs when it's dark out.
Definitely. And a headlamp, too.
Right. So people can see you.
Exactly. The more visible you are, the better.
Okay, this is all good advice. But, it's not just about the physical safety, right?
Yeah.
It's also about, feeling safe.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The mental side of things is huge.
If you're constantly worried, that's going to take away from the experience.
For sure. So it's about, finding ways to feel comfortable and confident in your surroundings.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we've talked about the physical aspects, the logistics, the environmental benefits, the mental and emotional side of things.
We've covered a lot.
We have. So I want to, zoom out for a second.
Okay.
And think about, the big picture.
Yeah. What do you have in mind?
What if run commuting, it went from being, this niche thing to, a mainstream mode of transportation?
Wow. That's a big what if.
I know, right? But what would that look like?
I think it would completely change how we design cities.
How so?
Well, for one thing, we would need way more running paths.
Makes sense.
Dedicated paths, not just sidewalks.
Right. And probably a lot more bike lanes, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Ones that are actually safe for, cyclists and pedestrians.
And maybe those showers at work that we talked about?
Yeah, definitely. We'd need a real commitment to creating a run commute friendly environment.
Run commute friendly, I like that. But imagine, though, the impact.
Oh, it'd be massive.
Healthier cities, happier people.
More sustainable cities, too.
Absolutely. Less traffic, cleaner air.
And maybe even, a stronger sense of community.
Because people would be connecting over this shared experience.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a really inspiring vision.
It is.
A city that's actually designed for people, not just cars.
Where commuting is something you look forward to.
Yeah, not something you dread.
Exactly. Imagine that.
But to get there, that would require a huge shift in mindset, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right now, running, it's seen as just exercise.
Right.
We'd have to start thinking of it as a legitimate way to get around.
A real mode of transportation.
Exactly.
I wonder if that's even possible.
Well, It would take a lot of effort, that's for sure.
Yeah.
From individuals, employers, city planners, everyone.
It's a big challenge.
It is. But, the potential benefits are huge.
They are. This whole conversation is making me realize something.
What's that?
Run commuting, it's not just a trend.
No, it's something more.
It's a reflection of something bigger that's happening.
Like a societal shift.
Yeah, exactly. Like people, they're looking for a different way of living.
More mindful, more sustainable.
Right. They want to reconnect with their bodies, their communities, the environment.
Yeah. And Run Commuting kind of embodies all of that.
It does. And I think that's really cool. It's like a microcosm of this larger movement.
Exactly. It shows that individual choices can have a big impact.
But let's be realistic here. For a lot of people, run commuting, it sounds pretty intimidating.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's not going to be for everyone.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest takeaways from this whole conversation is this idea of adaptability.
Okay, adaptability.
And resourcefulness.
Like the run commuter we're talking about.
Exactly. They were really good at thinking outside the box.
Right.
Finding creative solutions.
Challenging norms.
Exactly. And putting their well-being first.
And those are all things that, anyone can do.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't about, copying exactly what this one person did.
Right.
It's about taking those principles and applying them to your own life.
Finding what works for you.
You got it.
So maybe this will inspire some people to try it, run commuting themselves.
Maybe.
But even if not, hopefully it'll get people thinking.
Yeah, about different ways to, be more active, more mindful.
And incorporate those things in their day-to-day lives.
Exactly. It's all about finding what brings you joy, what makes you feel good.
I like that. But, we've talked a lot about, the challenges and the benefits, but we haven't really talked about the gear yet.
Oh, yeah, you're right. The gear is important.
Especially in a city like New York.
For sure.
So let's dive into the gear essentials.
Okay, let's do it.
The stuff that can make your run commute more comfortable, more enjoyable.
Yeah. No more sweaty nightmare.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe we'll discover some hidden gems along the way.
All right, let's get into it.
Wow, this deep dive into run commuting, it's turned into this huge conversation.
Yeah, no, right.
We started with hygiene hacks and gear, and now we're imagining entire cities designed for runners.
It's pretty wild.
It really is, but it just shows you how this one simple concept,
Run commuting.
Yeah, how it can make you think about all these bigger things. Absolutely.
Like our lifestyles, our cities, the environment.
It's all connected.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's like individual choices. Like choosing to run commute, they can contribute to these bigger shifts.
Yeah. Towards sustainability, well-being.
Totally. Speaking of those bigger shifts, I'm curious.
Yeah.
What do you think about the social impact?
Around commuting.
Yeah, if more people started doing it, could it actually bring people together?
That's a good question. I think it definitely could.
Like how?
Well, imagine you've got groups of people running to work together.
Okay, yeah.
They're bonding over this shared passion for running and their commitment to, a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
These organic running clubs forming.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. People motivating each other, sharing tips, maybe even planning social events outside of work.
Totally. And those connections, they could extend beyond just the run commute itself.
Absolutely.
Into the workplace, the community. Yeah. It's about building those relationships.
Yeah, those social connections, they're so important.
They really are, especially these days when so many people feel isolated.
It's true.
Run commuting could be a way to combat that.
To create that sense of belonging.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not just about the physical act of running.
Right.
It's about the social connections that come with it.
It's about community. And, it's also about inspiration.
Oh, yeah. Girl.
Even if you're running solo, you're setting an example for other people.
Showing them it's possible.
Exactly. You're proving that you can prioritize fitness, eco-consciousness, even in a world that's all about, convenience and speed.
It's like you're challenging the status quo.
In a way, yeah.
Okay, so we've got the physical benefits, the environmental benefits, the social benefits.
A pretty impressive list.
It is. But I think we should acknowledge it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Oh, definitely not.
There are challenges.
For sure.
We talked about safety, logistics, gear. But maybe the biggest hurdle for a lot of people is the mental stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
All those voices in your head.
Telling you it's too hard.
Yeah, too time-consuming, too inconvenient.
You got to work on that mindset.
So it's about, shifting your perspective.
Exactly. Don't think of run commuting as a burden.
Right.
It's an
It's
opportunity
duty for what?
to improve your health, to
Yeah.
connect with your surroundings.
And make a difference for the environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about like changing that narrative,
Focusing on the positives.
celebrating the small wins,
And finding the joy in the journey.
not just the destination. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
That's true.
You can start small.
Like maybe run commute once or twice a week.
Exactly. Experiment, see what works for you.
The key is to make it sustainable, right?
Absolutely. And enjoyable.
Because if it's not enjoyable, you're not going to stick with it.
Nope. It shouldn't feel like a chore.
It should be something that adds to your life.
Makes you feel good.
And who knows, maybe this whole conversation will inspire people to try other unconventional things.
Yeah, like maybe they'll find other ways to bring more movement into their lives.
More mindfulness, more purpose.
It's about finding what lights you up, what challenges you.
What makes you feel alive?
I love that.
So it's not just about run commuting, is it?
No, it's bigger than that.
It's a mindset, a way of approaching life.
With curiosity, with openness, with a willingness to try new things.
To step outside your comfort zone. And, maybe you'll discover something amazing along the way.
You never know.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the world of run commuting.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've learned something new, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be inspired to lace up your shoes and hit the pavement.
Happy running, everyone.
And thanks for listening.